For today, I'm going to do a very quick presentation about SciFounder Fellowship, really meant to only have 10, 50 minutes here. And then I'm going to go through some questions I got already you sent over email. So thanks a lot for that. And then I'm going to open the floor to questions where people can raise their hands if they have questions more about the program. And then we'll try my best to answer them. So we mainly started SciFounder Fellowship really with the main thesis around helping more scientists start and run their own companies. Really think that not enough scientists really realize that companies can be extremely powerful vectors to work on very challenging problems because they often have more access to a lot more resources than a lab has or an institution has. And more importantly, I think because you can orchestrate a whole team around a very challenging problem. And generally think that more scientists should give it a try. Many great scientists are not great founders or not born entrepreneurs, but generally think more should try setting up a company to work on extremely challenging technology that, if it works out, could be extremely impactful for the world. And we think if this would be adopted a lot more generally and really across the board, we think that would on its own lead to a lot more tech translation and really create technologies into the world that could help millions and millions of people. And really, this is the reason why we started SciFounders, why we started SciFounder Fellowship, really to help technical founders or scientists get started on their own companies. And that's the main reason why we also started this fellowship, SciFounder Fellowship here. This is meant for technical founders who are just getting started or maybe have started a company already, really in the early stages, and are really interested in running their own companies over the next 10 years plus. It comes with up to $1 million in funding from us and mentorship in the form of very regular office hours, and is meant to be taken extremely seriously. So we gotta set a very, very high bar when it comes to technology fit and application process and interviews. Really want to make sure we team up here with people who really want to take this extremely seriously and really want to make this their north star for the next 10 plus years building the company. Ideal candidates for us are pre-existing teams of 2 or 3 people who have worked together before. That doesn't mean we're not going for solo founders. They're totally fine up to apply as well. But ideal team scenario of pre-existing teams who have a history of working together. It's important to us that at least one technical founder can start full-time upon financing. So less interested in constellations where the scientific co-founders are more part-time involved and where there's an external person coming into the company and running it. Really important to us that the technical founders can actually part of leading the company. They should be working on promising technology that is sort of ready for proof of concept. That means, for example, you have done some preliminary data in your academic lab, have some exciting in vitro results, but could really use more resources to translate that into, for example, a rodent model and a disease-relevant rodent model to really prove out this has potential for becoming later on a powerful therapeutic. We are all a team of scientists and technical operators. So I myself come from a technical background. I did my PhD in molecular biology at the University of Cambridge, got later then recruited by Genentech and joined their research and early discovery department, where I worked for a number of years. Here in the Bay Area, got connected to my other 2 teammates and left to really set up SciFounders with them. I got connected to Matt Krisilov, who's coming more from the software side of things. He was a founding member of OpenAI, worked together with Sam Altman quite a lot, was the chief of staff at Y Combinator, and he's currently running a company called Conception. That's a very research-intensive company working on turning stem cells into egg cells for fertility purposes, and has built a very research-intensive company with over 40 scientists now, raised over $60 million. And this is one of those examples using a company to work on something extremely challenging and super excited about the results they're able to produce with this setup. And then team is rounded out by Lucas. He did his PhD in Berkeley in the lab of Jennifer Doudna and spun out Mammoth Biosciences from her lab. together with his graduate student teammates, and they've been extremely successful in terms of fundraising, building up the company from two to over 150 people plus now, and yeah, done a great job in terms of partnerships and fundraising. So we think we can be quite helpful, especially for first-time founders or to people who are coming more from a technical background, since we all have a operational background. We think we can be very helpful in many aspects of company building. This could be, for example, license negotiations, what we've done in the past for some of our companies, how to think about scaling hiring from starting with 3 people to over 100 people plus now, how to make this a process that really works in reality, how to approach partnerships, how to think about timelines here, how to work together with partners once they are inked, and how to run a process here. And then obviously how to think about strategic fundraising, how to unlock different kinds of capital from different kind of sources to help you make progress on your companies. We also think we've built a pretty strong network now in Silicon Valley over the last 10 years plus now, and really want to connect you with other founders we think highly of or investors that could be helpful for follow-on financing. And think we've done a good job here with our current companies. We connected most of them to their lead investors for their next rounds. Here are some example areas we are interested in. That's not an exclusive list by all means. These are just really more for illustrative purposes that you see. But for example, we are thinking about what excites us, but it's more important really that we hear from you what you're excited about. You are really working on the bleeding edge of technology right now, and might work on topics or areas that are sort of not sexy or in right now, but might become a lot more exciting and impactful in the next few years. So really want to hear from you why you think your technology you're working on has multi-billion dollar potential in the long run. The program itself is really bespoke. It's really tailored to your company. We're getting a lot of companies from different kind of areas, working with biotech companies, working with more medtech companies. So trying to tailor it more to your needs, what was most helpful for you at this point. So there's no one fits all mold, one fits all approach. It's really just regular office hours with us. And other portfolio companies where we sometimes do group office hours where we bring in everyone in at least once a quarter, so people can share resources, can share insight, and that's been going quite well so far. And these office hours can be as often as you think they are needed, and they can be weekly, they can be once every twice a week, and really just to share insights and resources and help you plan around certain things. We also want to connect you to other great founders from our network and investors we think can be helpful. And I want to make sure you team up with people here who are good to connect with, who you can bounce ideas off from, and maybe strategize around certain areas that we are currently thinking about. There is no really end for the program, so we're gonna keep working with you closely as long as you think it's helpful. We're still working with companies from the first batch. It's really more like how helpful we can still be. So we're gonna still come in and work with you, for example, at next financing rounds, make introductions, and help you around like how to present your current work and current updates. So there's no really end to the program. Trying to be as helpful as long as we can. The process itself is pretty simple, I think. Really, to apply, you just go to our website, click apply. You will need a Google account. You answer the questions, submit a video. For the interviews, we will select the most promising teams for quick interviews after the application round. These interviews will be around 15 minutes over Zoom. So we're gonna do a few like rapid fire interviews where we get to know the team a little bit more, ask questions around the company, ask questions around the technology, just to get a better overview. And after that, we will sort of select finalists. With the finalists, we will do a few more follow-up conversations that those can be over email, but they can also be over longer conversations with us over Zoom again. So there's no need to fly out or to meet us in person. Virtual has worked quite well over the past. And these follow-ups are really more for us to really understand the technology a lot better, understand what pitfalls could be, what risks could be, how you think about mitigating them, to meet the team fully, and really get a better understanding if we really would enjoy working together in the long run. And that's really important to us as well, to really team up here with teams and companies we, yeah, would be excited to work with over the next, yeah, 5+ years. And then after that, after this stage, really the program starts, and it starts with us making an investment. So once selected, we'll invest in your company. We're most likely going to use um, a safe note for that, and going to invest up to $1 million into the company. We could do a little bit more if really, really needed, or bring in other investors from our network that could be helpful. But want to have the conversation with you here. What makes most sense for you is important that you really raise enough money for your milestones, but not too much that you dilute yourself too much. So yeah, gonna have that conversation here. What makes most sense for you? Um, Here just a few overview of companies we funded in the past. 50% came from the fellowship, and very proud that most of them are doing quite well. We're able to raise larger rounds after the fellowship. And yeah, we're still in touch with all of them and still having very regular updates and still working with them closely. And here, just leaving it in the last slide, a few quotes. I'm yeah also very proud of yeah most found like I'd say all founders we've working with so far are very happy with our support. Yeah, keep telling us that we are by far one of their most favorable investors, valuable investors, and have been extremely helpful in their past. So very proud of that we've built so far and support we could give. Um, yeah, and that's really about it. This is just meant as a very short presentation, and I'm gonna go now quickly to some questions I got over email already, and then we can maybe do it like this, that you can raise your hands if you have additional questions and can go over them and then have more of a discussion. Um, so yeah, one question I got was around what the funding terms are and the structure of the financing. We're gonna stop sharing my screen. So one question I got around was what the funding terms are on the structure of the financing. So in most cases, we will just write a safe note and yeah, invest through that vehicle. In terms of terms, we don't have a fixed cap for the safe note. What we normally do is we have a conversation later with the teams, what makes most sense for them. But historically, what we're aiming for is around 12% when we invest in a company. But this doesn't mean this is like a fixed thing we're doing. Really just want to have a conversation what makes sense for you and what other investors might come in at this point. Another question I got was if you can match this funding from us with other investment. That's totally possible. So if you have other investments coming in or other funding coming in can be matched with us, there's really no other strings attached from the investment that comes from us. Another question I got was how funding can be used. Really, that's
Zoom.
mainly up for you.
Yes,
Really, most of
yes.
the funding should
इतना
be.
गंदा वर्ड यूज करिए.
Sorry, I think there's a background noise. Most funding should be used, obviously, for making progress on your company, for R&D purposes. You can pay yourself a salary, but should be reasonable about it and not to increase your burn too much. Question I also got was, I often got is if we invest globally. Yes, we do. That we're not only investing in US companies. So we have done 3 investments now in Europe. So we are happy to look into international companies as well. And then last question I wanted to highlight was what happens if you're not selected? We're trying to provide feedback to everyone we had a chance to chat with. Depending on how many applications we're getting, I'm not sure if we can provide feedback to everyone. So to all people who have applied, we'll try our best, but I think we most likely will only be able to provide tailored feedback to companies we had a chance to interview or gone to the interview stage. Um, yeah, and these I think were the most questions I think I got over email. I wanted to quickly summarize, but then wanted to see if you can maybe raise your hands and have ask additional questions, and then we can, um, take it from there.
Maybe
Okay,
I'll
I'm gonna
start
have
since
to
I,
mute my
I have
screen.
my hand raised.
Yeah, hey Brian, do you wanna
Hi,
start
hi,
it?
Alex. In the kind of favored areas, you included note about platform therapeutics. Is this like platform technologies for discovering and developing new therapeutics?
Yeah, so I think what we mean by platform therapeutics is means more that we are probably not as interested in single asset therapeutics, where if it's just one molecule or one antibody, sort of where that maybe have been developed in academic lab and is being spun out and being worked on. This is mainly here the reason here is that we are a bit worried about sort of the singular risk attached to it. So that's why we prefer if a company stays more like a platform in the early stages and maybe has multiple shots on goal. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. Thank you.
Cool. Jose?
Hey everyone, Jose from Delion here. So yeah, Alex, I wanted to ask you, what is the timeline that you guys are working with usually? So when do you expect to have the first interviews? When do you expect to have the final decisions?
Good. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. So we have started reviewing applications already. We got a few in already. So thanks for submitting. We're trying to do that on a rolling basis. So what you probably can think about is that we after applying, it's going to probably take 2 or 3 weeks to hear from us. In
Okay,
terms of getting to the next stage or getting feedback, and then having interviews with us. And after that, probably another few weeks until we can make final decisions. We hope we can make final decisions for everyone like between 4 to 8 weeks, but cannot promise that. It really depends on how many how applications we get again, how busy we will be. But that's sort of like a rough timeline, if that helps.
sounds good. Thank you.
Sure. Hey, Rory.
Hey, thank you so much for this amazing talk. I was just kind of curious in general about the level of data necessary for what you're looking for the fellowship, and so preclinical, clinical data at what point, and then I saw you guys wanted a slide deck. Like, how detailed would you like it? I assume it should be standalone, explainable. And then my last question was, for reviewers, would they be possible to be under NDA, especially when they mentioned under patent review? What that looks
Right.
like.
Good question. So for slides and data, we really don't expect you to have a ton of data at this stage because it's really meant for like idea stage pre-seed companies. Great if you have, amazing if you have. We had companies coming in really on an idea where it was really just more like, hey, this is what we want to develop and we need resources for that. We had companies who came in with like in vivo data or mouse models already, which is great. It can really vary. There is no requirement to have a big data set. In terms of slides, it would be great if you can maybe send over a smaller teaser deck. It doesn't have to be extremely detailed. It's more just in general, a teaser deck should serve the purpose of people getting excited, wanting to talk with you and having the longer conversation. So don't have to put everything into the deck. And in many cases, we would only sign an NDA much later in the process. Our preference is not to sign an NDA in general for fellowship. Main reason is here worry that if we sign too many, it would prevent us to talking to other companies working on something similar. So if you can share data in a way where you just redact identifying information, that's best case scenario. So it would not like bite back or yeah, create issues for you.
Thank you.
Sure. Will is next.
Hi, thank you. So I guess my question is on the office hours you mentioned. How is each founder participating in that? Is it sort of each company is assigned to a different person, or are they all sort of pitching in on all of them?
Right. Yeah, good point. No, we try to in the beginning we try to be all there, the three of us, and then normally naturally progresses in a way that we sort of have a champion for the company who has more regular touch points. But to be honest, we communicate very frequently, the three of us. So if you prefer to talk to someone else, or it would help if more people would come in, super flexible here. There's no like fixed assignment, so to say. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Marcella.
Yes, hi. Yeah,
Friday and get a rough
This is Stephanie.
sorry,
Can you hear me?
by Monday evening.
sorry, I'm
5 o'clock
uh,
by the 15th.
I'm not sure. I think
I don't know what is happening.
The
audio
14th.
issues.
Steph,
Alex, if you're the
David,
host, you
you're
can
not
mute
muted.
Steph.
Yeah, I
No, I
can.
think someone else. Yeah, sorry, someone else I was joining the conversation. Hi, I'm Marcela. Yeah, I wanted to know if you also support
I'm gonna mute
biotech
on
companies.
now. Sorry.
And you have, it's like a PowerPoint presentation.
This is Steph from LQ Therapies. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I'll mute you real quick and I'm gonna go with the others first.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hey Marcella, can you talk now?
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, all
Yeah,
good.
thank you. Yeah, I wonder if you also support biotech companies, but they are focused on biosolution for green transition.
Can you maybe rephrase that question or explain a little bit more to make sure that I understand?
Yeah, so basically not for human health, but planetary health.
We would
More
be
for
got it. Yeah, we would be interested into looking into that. So we're definitely interested in other areas as well, mostly in the life sciences. Focus is healthcare and
yeah.
biotech, but yeah, happy to look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Anna-Marie.
Hi, thank you. I actually have three questions. I'll try to get them in quickly.
All good.
Number one, is the $1 million expected to cover the cost of the technical founder joining the company full time? How long do the fellowships last? I think it was a year, but I wasn't sure if you actually said that. And how many are being funded?
Yeah, so the funding should cover salaries of people who are coming in full time, so to pay yourselves as well. The second question was how long does it last? There's really no formal end to it. What we're trying to help companies is getting to a stage where they can raise on follow-on financing, so can raise a seed round, for example. That's probably something you can think of as a graduation, but that doesn't mean we stop not working with you. So it's really open-ended. We keep working with the teams. There's no end here. And then, sorry, what was the third question?
The third question was, how many are you planning to
Right.
engage this round?
Yeah, it really depends. I would say around 2 to 5 maybe per round. But really depends how many applications we're getting in. Hey, Jeff.
Hi, glad to join you from Vermont today. My question is a little similar to Rory's, except that what I'm working on is not, human or clinical biology. It's related to agriculture and using hyperspectral imaging to acquire data to guide inputs and then use drones to actually apply inputs. And I'm wondering how well developed, as opposed to having preclinical data, how well developed the idea, how advanced in the process you need to be in order to qualify.
Yeah, definitely something we would be interested in looking in. Sounds cool. Yeah, it doesn't have to be extremely developed. Maybe in your case, without me understanding the technology, would say if you have maybe some lab results or maybe some results of maybe using those drones in a POC study, or even if it's just idea stage, I think should be interesting for us enough to look into. Cool. Vikesh?
Hi, thanks for giving a presentation on your focus. So one of the therapeutic platforms, a lot of people look for POC studies. What if you're, a med chem team or out of academia who's had a series of small molecules, no in vivo data, maybe some in vitro data that's been published and patented. Does this fall within your sort of your thesis? We're a platform company with a novel 80 payloads for ADCs that are addressing many of the issues with the current payloads. And so the question are we too early, or do we need more data? I know you said concept, but a lot of times concept has to do with certain things that fit in, and so $1 million would really get us to a seed or a Series A. But the question is this a platform that would be suitable for an application?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds like something we would be definitely interested looking into. If it's sort of have strong data on the antibodies you could collect so far and ready for sort of testing them out in a mouse model, for example, that seems like right on what we would be interested in.
And then second question is,
And I can also do direct client.
oh boy. My my second question is actually something that somebody actually also asked early on, Joseph Scaduto, which is also on drug repurposing and repositioning. There's a big demand for that in the industry. And the question is, there's a certain kind of a trick or a game you have to play to get, IP and exclusivity for repurposed drugs. And is that something your platform would want to get involved in?
Yeah, something we would be interested in for sure. We supporting a company.
I was just like, they gave me
Oh, sorry, I can't find it.
Steph, can you please mute yourself?
Thanks,
There's
man.
a lot of background noise. Or Alex, you
I
should
can't
mute.
find her.
Did you say Stephanie?
Yes, you.
Oh, I thought, okay, I this is different. Okay, mute.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, definitely it's something we would be interested in. We're supporting a company that's sort of working on repurposing, reformulating drug combinations, for example.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, for sure. Solene.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this discussion. So I have two questions. The first one is, you say it's up to 1 million in investment. Like, what's in average the commitment that you're doing? And then my other question is, I'm also in the field of agriculture and biotechnology for agriculture, and I'm wondering, like, do you have connection in VC that invest more in sustainability and climate change and these kind of things, or is it most of your network in healthcare? Like, how for following investment and raising next rounds?
Yeah, so average check size would say between $500,000 $800,000, but can also go up to $1 million, can go up higher as well if needed for you. Network wise, yeah, most of the network I would say is from us more in the biotech healthcare space, but then we're also connected to a lot of more generalist investors here in Silicon Valley, and definitely interested into looking into ag tech. So not a roadblock for you. Okay, Doron.
Hi, two questions. First of all, what is the deadline? And the second one, maybe you answer that you said that you are going to select 2 to 5 companies. So what is the success rate based on the previous round?
Right.
This is the
Do you mean success rate in companies from
that are
the
selected.
previous batches?
I mean, the success rate that company will be selected for this program. I mean, how many companies go applied, for example, last round, and how many are selected? You mean
Right.
so we get some estimation about our success rate.
For sure. Yeah, deadline is end of February, 28th of February, midnight for the last application. And success rate, I'd say around 1 or 2% of companies applying have been selected. So for example, we're getting around 200 to 400 applications per cycle and normally select them between 2 to 4. Cool. Britta, you're next.
Alex, thanks so much for taking the time to answer our questions and for running SciFounders. Curious, do you also help founders find co-founders? So I come from a semi-technical background and I have an idea space I've been working on. Would love to identify a killer scientific co-founder to work with. Is that something that you would also help with?
Yeah, we can be as helpful as we can be, or try to be as helpful as possible. It's not an active model for the program, so we're not gonna do actively searching for co-founders for you, but we'll try to see in our networks of people who might be interested in joining you, and can also, for example, strategize here around what kind of people you have in your network that could make sense, or join interviews or whatnot. But not going to do an active co-founder search.
Cool. Thank you.
For sure. Hey, Daniel.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. So you mentioned, I noticed that a lot of the companies you funded have therapeutics as their product, but you did mention technology that massively improves clinical trials. our company is has an MRI biomarker for Parkinson's disease that can serve as a surrogate outcome measure in clinical trials. So some questions that we're encountering are sort of, since a lot of that money in the market derives from the therapeutics, do you have ways of, working with companies to get licensure to get kind of back end on the outcomes of the clinical trials? And then I guess just more broadly, do you have, what kind of experiences with kind of clinical trial tools have you had before? Is this kind of something that you're really looking for?
Definitely something we would be very interested in. It's definitely like a interest of ours to sort of improve how clinical trials are being run. Having said that, we haven't teamed up with a company so far who's working on the topic, but yeah, would be very interested into looking into this a little deeper. For the other questions, probably better to chat offline. Not sure if I understand it 100%.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Rory.
Hey, thanks so much again. I was curious to hear how much, it sounds like early stage ideas could also qualify, but would having a business plan or IP plan, regulation approval plan be helpful to put in our slide deck and such? Or is that kind of not as necessary? And yeah, that's my first question.
No, that would be super helpful. There is an option for you to add additional material at the bottom and can, slide that in there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
Hey,
Okay,
David.
another one that, yeah.
Hi, Alexander.
Hey,
Thanks for the intro. Actually, I was going to mention something Britta mentioned about co-founders. There are dating sites for co-founders out there, and I can find me and I'll let you know where they are. But but my question was about. So you said there were kind of 2 or 3 companies outside of the US that you funded, and are they kind of on your website? Can we find who they are, and are there any, I guess, resources to help with applications? Kind of previous successful applications would be great to have a little look at to get an idea about how you like it pitched, because it sounds like it's a 1 in 100 success rate, which, to be fair, is more than some things I've applied for in the past. So I'm optimistic. Any help is gratefully appreciated.
Yeah, that'd be great. The companies from outside of the US we invested in are called Deliver Biosciences. They're based in London. Externa, also based in London, and Luminate Medical, they're based in Ireland. These are the 3 ones. We're actually super excited about them. So definitely want to do more international ones. In terms of success rate, we would love to do a little bit more, but we also want to make sure we make the most of our resources and also a bit resource constrained. So it's going to be around this 1% mark. Don't have applications I could sort of distribute that sort of made it, but maybe I'll think about what other things that we could provide to give you a feel for what we're ideally looking for.
Cool. That's great. Thank you very much.
Cool. I don't have a name for the next one, just precision sensing.
Sorry, it says Elizabeth Madonic, but I guess maybe you can't read that much. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. What would you consider to be too late of a stage of a company? In other words, if we've already had a successful seed round, but we're looking for that next jump to get us to the Series A with prototype, further development, and commercialization.
Yeah, that really depends on how much you've raised before, and maybe also what kind of how big the team is and how much funding you're looking for right now. I mean, it needs to make some sense in terms of valuation of the company as well. So maybe something that would be good to chat about later on. But from what I hear, I don't think it's going to be too late. We're also investing at like a seed stage or pre-seed company, so can explore that too. But I would, from what I hear, wouldn't say it's too late for the fellowship.
Great, fantastic. Thank you very much.
For sure. Fiona.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much. This is really really helpful information that you provided. So my question is, I'm not sure if you could share whether how the previous batches of the companies in terms of their further fundraising success rate in going to the next level. If you could share that information, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe you've seen that slide from the other companies I highlighted, and most of them raised funding in the realm of $2 to $5 million follow-ons. One of them that recently did their Series A and raised 15, and then have two other ones coming up. And I think they have a really, really good shot at a larger Series A as well. So that's sort of high level what I can share.
Great. Thank you so much.
For sure. Erica?
Hi, thank you so much. Just wanted to know, as we're putting together the application, I was curious to know some of the key elements of previously selected ventures that really stand out as excellent applications as the review committee are looking at those applicants.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just mention that all high level. So I think what we're really looking for are extremely impactful technologies that in a grand slam scenario can really lay the foundation for something that as a company as a whole can grow into like multi-billion dollar value in the next 10, 15 years. And ideally can help if all works out well, help millions and millions of people. And that's really across the board, across different kind of areas or technologies that can be biotech, therapeutic applications, could be medtech applications, really just have a very, very broad scope. Another thing that's super important to us is like a very strong founding team. So we're looking for founders that have who have really high aptitude to grow into great leaders, have the right instincts really to run a company. That doesn't mean they have to have done it before, coming from a business side of things or having had companies before, really looking here for the right foundation as well, right instincts. And this is something we normally assess out or work on or discuss in the interviews when we're talking with the teams. It's probably hard to give you exact bullet points what to look out for, but things we want to have a conversation with the founders. Yeah, hope that sort of helps a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Hey, Rory.
Hey, I just remember my other question. Sorry. I actually took a question that was in the chat about the video. So we have a cross-country team. Potentially people have international teams. I assume would it just a simple Zoom call, I guess, and recording it be qualified? And I assume you want mostly just introducing our team and maybe our background technical skill sets that would substantiate, or?
Yeah, a recorded Zoom call totally is fine. Don't have to bring everyone together in one room for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, David.
Hey, are you looking for any sort of exit profile or timelines in terms of the exits you're looking for in the business plan or the commercialization plan?
Yeah, don't have to have exact timelines. I think my comparables or comparable companies that worked on something similar is always helpful, and where they are right now in terms of maybe went public or market cap or acquisitions. That's always good comparables to have, but it doesn't have to be like a fully ironed out business plan. Great if you have one, but it's not a requirement. Well, Anna-Marie.
Hello again. With regard to the teaser deck, right? About how many slides are you looking for?
Can be super short, can be just one slide, can be 10. Wouldn't do it too extensive. Just for we're gonna want to make sure we get a good overview, but it doesn't have to be too detailed. Okay, Brian, and then I'm gonna do if you have another question, and then I'll try to do some questions out of the chat.
Oh yeah. So for therapeutics companies, quite often they can benefit from strategic partnerships with larger pharmaceutical concerns. So are there any resources which are available in the long term through SciFounders in order to help facilitate those potential long-term partnerships?
Yeah, we could probably help the best here with more like strategic advice. So, for example, Lucas has done a great job for his company's Mammoth in terms of partnerships, so can really share what he has learned. A strategy that worked out for them. Can try to make introductions if there are people from our network that we are friendly with, and just help you really navigate the process. I think that's something we could probably most helpful with.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Solene, I think you just raised your hand again.
Yeah, I did. I have a question. So I'm still in academia and I have the opportunity to potentially get more fundings in academia, but things are kind of slow. and hiring is harder when you're not in a startup setup. And so I was wondering what's your advice in terms of trying to spin out regarding trying to stay a bit longer in academia and move the science a bit further along the way, although we have like a better understanding now. It's not yet ready to have like a minimal product, but I think it would get there outside of academia faster than in academia.
Yeah, that really depends. And it's often like a difficult decision to make. Generally, if you have access to funding, can really get started with the company. My preference, my personal preference would always be to make a clean cut and then really move things out of the lab, out of the university, and set up the company. The longer you stay at the university, the more claims they will have around IP and what you're developing. So it's much easier if you, make a cut and get started. Cool. Todd, you want to go next? I'll try to find some questions in the chat as well. I think you muted, Todd.
There we go.
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, I'm coming from a fairly different angle here in terms of the technology. We develop bioengineered, optimized AI optimized implants and prosthetics. So I think that would fit into the category of machine-human interface. But with the 1%, I'm still going to apply. I love the whole program. I think it's great. Yeah, and but with a 1% success rate, would a company like ours that uses AI to generate interfaces and also ultralight structures, because we also do footwear and various different other interfaces type technologies, would we even have a chance? Because I have a feeling it will be hard to compete with somebody who's come in with a transformational molecular system that could be worth $100 billion. We estimate that our technology could be worth $1 billion, but it's going to take some work to get it there. So
no, definitely sounds interesting. I think that really depends also what the end application will be. I'm happy to also have that conversation with you, and maybe often there are areas you haven't thought about. So sounds like something that has pretty big potential as well. We're actually quite interested in investing more into medtech companies. So yeah, please do apply. Sounds cool.
Yeah, we have some great stuff. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Maybe adjacent to that, we're going to do some questions out of the chat. Was a question if that's limited to life sciences. Someone's working on the physical sciences space. If you're working outside of the life sciences, would still encourage you to shoot over an application. Our sweet spot is around the life sciences, but we're also interested in doing investing in other areas. So, for example, we invested into rare earth mining company in the past. That was outside of our scope, but we like the technology so much and the founder so much that we invested in them. So do apply if it's not perfect life sciences. But our general scope will still be more in the life sciences. Had this one already. Okay, maybe again while I do the chat, Sean, do you want to ask real quick something?
Yeah, just a quick question. And I'm Sean from Taiwan, so we focus on bioadhesive technology. So I was just wondering that when you filter in the fellowship, which type of criteria do you value more, like personality of founder or your business model or a wonderful scientific data? Which kind of criteria will you focus more on?
Yeah, I'd say all of that above. All of the above, I think, important to us. We work with strong founders we would enjoy working with, and founders so that can grow into great leaders. Probably it's not a deal breaker if you have very, very little data or just very few data. If you can pull data from your publications or from other things that are sort of adjacent to what you're doing is super, super helpful. I think main focus is really the upside potential plus, founder capabilities. I got a question from the chat if international companies need to relocate to the US. No, they don't. They can sort of stay where they are if they have all the resources they need. Don't have to relocate. Normally, virtual office hours have been working quite well in the past. Olena, do you want to go next?
Hi. Are you interested in hardware projects in the field of the solar energy? I mean, the organization of production. Our product we transforms standard PV solar panels and high efficiency PVT systems, boosting electricity output of 20 more percent while generating 4 more energy, summer efficiency at 95%. But now we have difficulties because our project at first based into Ukraine, and now our stand placed in Odessa under bombing, and how with expertise I don't know. There are many questions. Maybe I am in California. I live in California now. Can my teams replace it here for implementation our project in California?
Yeah, from what I understand, you're working sort of on solar panels or making them more efficient. It's probably not going to be 100% focused thesis fit for us. I would still encourage you to send something over. It's a bit far outside of our scope, though. But yeah, would encourage to send something over. I got a question from somebody from Yale about.
It's interesting manufacturing on hardware projects. Are you?
Yeah, we would look into hardware as well and deep tech. Well, I'm gonna go to the next question for sake of time.
We have MVP 6 level of our product.
Maybe best way would be if you just send me an email, and then maybe we can discuss over email. I want to make sure that people have still time to ask questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, another question I had was about when the next application cycle will be. Yeah, we're planning to run another cycle in the fall, around September, October, if you don't feel quite ready yet. But feel free also to update us after this, how we make progress. Happy to jump on a call as well in the meantime. Yael, I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly. Oh, I think that was your question. Great. I don't see anything else in the chat anymore.
Hello? Hi.
Oh yeah, hey.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. You just answered my first question, but two related questions. One is resubmission is better good? Like if I feel that now not in the ideal place and I would be there in a few months, like is it good to anyway try and submit now, or should I wait for the being optimal situation?
Yeah, for sure. You can feel free to resubmit applications the next time as well. We have a question as well where you can mention progress you've made since the last time we chatted, and it's helpful for us to know what that progress was. For example, adding a co-founder or significant technical progress, and then can factor that in. So definitely do that.
Yeah, and thank you. And more specifically, so basically we're developing a medical device for cancer margin detection. And now we have the prototype and we're starting experiments. So it will take a few months to get the validation. And we are funding as part of the Runway Startup Program. So do you think it's a good time to apply, or should we wait?
Yeah, no, I definitely would encourage you to apply. So if it's just 1 or 2 months until you get data, can have that conversation there as well, and then send the data over as well once ready. So it feels like a good timing.
Thank you.
Cool. I'm trying to find more questions we haven't answered yet, but I think we went through almost all of them. Jeff, do you have another question?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you have any advice or regarding the video. What are the sort of necessary pieces of information you want? I haven't looked. Maybe it's already in the instructions.
Yeah, it's just really the co-founders themselves to introduce themselves. The team that can be really just be one or 2 minutes, really what they've done in the past and where they're coming from. Just for us to get to know to meet you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Oh, that's a good question from chat. Does SciFounders participate in later rounds? We do. So with this fund, we set up follow-on resources. So we'll be as well investing in later rounds, mostly following. Probably not gonna lead, but could also lead around. Okay, Todd, another question.
One more quick one. So if we apply and let's say we don't make the cut, is there still potential for our application to be looked at by other investment or other people in your network that might actually be interested in funding?
Yeah,
even if we get accepted.
Yeah, if not selected for the fellowship, really happy to stay still in touch. We're still staying in touch with people who we got in contact before, and can also think about other investors that might be a good fit for you. If you're up for it, can also share your deck with other VC funds that are looking in the space like you're working on. Can do that. Well, Celine, I think, not sure if there was another question.
I have another question. So I don't have a company yet, still in academia. What do you recommend in terms of starting corporation? Do you recommend we wait until we got the fellowship and then work that with you, as you can provide advice and like what's the best way to do it? Or basically like just all of that, should it be done beforehand? Or
Yeah, for companies that are pre-incorporation, definitely something we can help with. So if that helps you, feel free to wait with incorporating and seeing how the fellowship application turns out. And if selected, I can help you with setting up the company too, and then make the investment. Cool. Yeah, another question I think important to mention, would we consider a team where technical co-founder comes on full-time once funds are raised? Yeah, you don't have to be full-time yet if you don't have resources yet for the company. But important to us that at least one person comes on full-time upon financing. So when we make the investment or get other resources in, then joins the company full-time. Another question maybe could highlight, is it purely online or in person? For most companies, we're doing virtual office hours, and that has been working well in the past. For people who are in the Bay Area, great. If you're also moving closer, that's amazing. Then we can also come in person and over coffee or come to your lab. But in most cases, it's going to be virtual online. But there's no strong requirement relocating to us, but really, really amazing if you're planning to relocate to the Bay Area. Generally think it's a really good space for talent and resources and funding to come here. Cool. I think, Jeff, I'm not sure if that's maybe your last question or you're still raising your hand from prior. No, okay. Yeah, I think answered most of the questions. And so thank you all for coming. That presentation, the Zoom call was recorded, so I'm gonna distribute that to everyone. So if you wanna look at it later again, and then also getting very excited about with for the next round of applications. So excited to hear from you all, and hope you're gonna chat later again. So thank you all.
Thank you, Alexander.
For sure.
Thanks, Alex.